At exactly 12 years, 3 months, and 11 days old, Elio Kane became the youngest billionaire the world had ever recorded. He didn't inherit it, he didn't steal it, he didn't win the lottery. He built it. And 6 years later, at 18, he died with nothing but a hospital wristband, an unread apology letter, and a name the world was already forgetting. This is his story. Elio Kane, the prodigy, tragic genius. Mara Kane, the mother, protector with limitations. Victor Hale, the manager, betrayer. Elio had been exceptionally brilliant since birth. He memorized numbers before he could walk. He solved puzzles before he could speak in full sentences. He saw patterns that even adults struggled to understand. He was never seen on playgrounds. While other children chased footballs and laughter, he sat cross-legged on the floor of his mother's tiny apartment, surrounded by dismantled electronics, old radios, broken phones, discarded laptops scavenged from trash bins behind repair shops. His mother, Mara Kane, worked double shifts as a cleaner. His father had died when Elio was 5, leaving behind debts, not memories.
"Why don't you play outside?"
she once asked, watching him reassemble a motherboard with fingers too steady for a child. "Because outside doesn't make sense," he replied. "This does." By age 9, he was writing code that university students struggled to understand. By 10, he had hacked, not maliciously but curiously, into a school server and fixed a grading error no one had noticed.
Did it! This is so cool!
Instead of punishing him, the school principal quietly called a tech consultant.
"Great to meet you. Wow, cool."
I wasn't looking at a child. I was looking at a machine that hadn't learnt it was human yet, the consultant later said. At 11, Elio built something small. It was an algorithm, simple in appearance, terrifying in power. It predicted consumer behavior with unsettling accuracy. Not trends, not guesses, decisions. What people would buy, when they would buy it, why they would buy it, sometimes before they knew themselves. He named it Predix. At first, he tested it on small online marketplaces. Sellers doubled profit, then tripled, then quadrupled. Emails started coming in, then calls, then men in suits. One of them, Victor Hale, a venture capitalist known for turning startups into empires, sat across from Elio at a glass table far too big for the boy's small frame. "How much do you want?" Victor asked casually. Elio blinked. "For what?" Victor smiled, folding his hands. "For your idea, for the algorithm, for everything it can become." Elio hesitated. "I just wanted to see if it would work." Victor's smile widened. That's how the future starts. 3 months later, Predix was licensed to global corporations, and on Elio's 12th birthday, the valuation crossed $1 billion. News headlines exploded. 12-year-old tech prodigy becomes world's youngest billionaire. The child who outsmarted Wall Street. Cameras followed him everywhere. Money didn't change Elio's apartment. It erased it. He was moved into a mansion with marble floors and silent hallways. Tutors replaced teachers. Security replaced friends. His mother stopped cleaning floors and started attending galas she didn't understand. She smiled more, but she spoke less. One night, Elio found her standing alone in the kitchen, staring at a chandelier. "Are you happy?" he asked. She hesitated. "I'm proud," she said carefully, but deep down she felt more lonely and exposed. At 13, Elio worked 18 hours a day. His mind was constantly on upgrading, refining, expanding. Victor Hale encouraged it. "Geniuses burn bright," Victor said. "That's how history remembers them." What Victor didn't say was how quickly they burn out.
Thank you, everyone, for that warm welcome. Together, we will achieve great things.
At 14, Elio collapsed during a live conference. The diagnosis was exhaustion. Severe, dangerous. The doctor warned he needs rest, real rest, or his body will decide for him. Victor laughed it off. "He's fine. He's extraordinary." Elio overheard that word often, extraordinary. It sounded like a compliment. It felt like a sentence. His mother, Mara Kane, wanted to step in. She saw the boy she had raised, barely taller than the podium, shaking from fatigue, but she was trapped between trust and fear. Victor had convinced her from the start that he was guiding Elliot for his own protection. Every decision, every contract, every boardroom meeting had been explained as necessary for Elliot's future. She had no experience in the corporate world, no legal knowledge, and no voice in the rooms where her son's empire was being shaped. Every time she tried to speak up, Victor's calm authority made her hesitate. She told herself she was protecting Elliot by letting the expert handle it. She had no idea that what she believed was protection was actually part of the weight crushing him. So, she watched silently, holding her fear in her chest as her son's brilliance carried him forward and as exhaustion silently claimed its toll. He began to notice things. How contracts slowly shifted ownership percentages, how his signature appeared on documents he didn't remember signing, how Victor spoke for him, not with him. When Elliot asked questions, he was told, trust the process. But Elliot had built his life on logic, and something didn't add up. At 15, Elliot discovered the truth. Predicts had been modified, replicated, diluted, and redistributed under shell companies he didn't control. His name remained the face, but the power was gone. Victor, who Elliot had trusted like a mentor, had leveraged the boy's brilliance and naivety to his advantage. Every suggestion he had given, every contract he had signed in good faith, had been used to siphon Elliot's wealth. He confronted Victor. "You sold pieces of my code." Victor didn't deny it. "You're a kid," he said calmly. "You needed guidance. You stole from me. I protected you," Victor replied.
We have to go see the lawyer now.
Okay, Mom.
The lawsuit that followed was quiet, expensive, endless. Elliot lost, not because he was wrong, but because he was young. By 16, his billionaire status was gone on paper. Then, in reality, the mansion was sold, accounts frozen, assets restructured. The headlines didn't announce the fall, they just stopped mentioning his name. Fame abandoned Elliot the way it had embraced him suddenly. Friends vanished, interviews stopped, invitations dried up. He returned to a small apartment with his mother. Only now the silence was different. He tried to rebuild, new ideas, new code, but investors smiled politely and said, "You already had your moment." At 17, his health worsened. Insomnia, chest pains, blackouts. Doctors found heart damage, stress-induced, accelerated by years of pressure no child should carry. The damage was severe and irreversible. A transplant wouldn't have helped. The body itself had been worn down by too many years of strain, ambition, and betrayal. "You're 18, going on 80, one doctor said gently. Elliot let out a short, bitter laugh. It wasn't funny. It was the sound of a child who had already lived too many lifetimes. On the night before his 18th birthday, Elliot wrote a letter not to the world, but to himself. He apologized for not playing, for not resting, for trusting too easily, for believing worth was measured in numbers. He folded the letter and placed it in a drawer. No one would read it. The next morning, Elliot collapsed again, and this time for good. The hospital room was quiet, no cameras, no suits, just his mother holding his hand. His final words were barely audible.
Did I do enough?
Yes, you did too much.
But inside, Mara felt the weight of every choice she had made. Every time she trusted Victor, every time she let ambition guide her son's life instead of insisting he rest, every moment she thought she was protecting him, she blamed herself.
Doctor! Somebody help!
After Elliot died, Mara Kane was not the same. She wandered the apartment he once filled with wires, screens, and possibilities, silent and haunted. Friends and neighbors said she looked like a shadow of herself. She spoke less, smiled less, carried a quiet ache that never left. The mother who tried to protect her child carried a new truth. Some losses cannot be fixed, and some choices leave scars that never heal. Her mother spent whatever money that remains to help save him, but it wasn't enough. Elliot Kane died poor at 18.
Thanks a lot. You're welcome. Have a good day. Wow, this is incredible.
Weeks later, a former engineer released something online, an open source version of Elio's original code, untouched, uncorrupted. The note read, "This was never about money. It was about possibility. Use it wisely." The world debated ethics, corporations panicked, governments took notice. But Elio was gone. No statue was built, no holiday declared, just a cautionary tale whispered in tech circles. Don't confuse brilliance with invincibility. Months after Elio's death, Victor Hale's empire began to crumble. Investigations exposed how he had exploited a child's brilliance for his own gain. He was stripped of his positions, shunned by the industry, and remembered not as a visionary, but as a betrayer. In the end, Victor kept his wealth, but lost something far more valuable: his name, his honor, and
What
his
is it?
peace.
Sir, it's gone. All of it. No, it can't be. Why?
The lesson echoes clearly. Genius alone cannot protect you. Trust must be earned, guidance must be wise. Childhood should never be stolen by ambitions.